Hi everyone, it's Asia here, Lemon Creation. Let's create today 3 grungy distressed backgrounds. No art skills necessary. For today's project I opted for mixed media pad or mixed media paper. It's a smooth paper which can withhold a little bit of water. I could have go for the watercolor paper, but the one I am using it's usually textured and I knew I'm gonna be stamping. So when you stamp, the texture paper is a little bit more tricky to work with. So I decided today for this particular project work mostly with sprays, and I am going to give you the full list of products I used for these 3 pages, 3 backgrounds in the description box below this video, so check that out if you want to know exactly which projects I'm using. But I'm starting with distress stains and distress oxide sprays. You can of course replace it with inks and you can do wherever you want. The whole thing is to just choose the colors which please you, which won't make you a mud on the page. And the thing with spraying is that if you spray and you have a lot of spray on your paper, please have a second paper ready. Just put it on the top of the first one, and like that you have 2 prints with 1 spray. So this is super cool. It saves a little bit of our sprays, and also you know, the work in bulk, the work which goes nicely and quickly is always a good thing to do. So I am adding here a little bit of Lindy spray. This one is, if I'm not mistaken, Cerise. And it's kind of on the teal side, or it's very much on the teal side, and teals are working very well with orange and browns. And once again I'm using the same paper as before, and I'm doing the second kind of print, if I can call it that. And I don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes when I do that, this double-sided kind of print, not double-sided, but you know, the 2 prints with 1 application, I get the lines on the paper. I think it's because, I don't know, the paper kind of reacts with the pressure, you know, of your hands. I've no idea, but you can see the lines here. I don't mind, because what I'm doing is very distressed, or there are very distressed backgrounds, so I don't really, I'm not bothered by the lines. You may be, but that doesn't always happen. So it's just, you know, it's a question of trials and, you know, getting the things the way you like them. I'm adding a little bit of other Lindy skunk spray, and this one is, I think, Tweedle Denim, and I'm either spraying or using a little bit of brush, or adding with the, you know, with the kind of straw which is inside the spray, whichever way you want. That's why I said at the beginning of this video, no skills necessary. It's just, guys, go for your favorite color combo, or the color combo you feel comfortable with, or the color combo you've seen on my videos or some other videos, or you just simply can Google nice color combos, and you're gonna get the you know, the colors which you can later use if you are a little bit lost with the colors. But with grunge or distress or even vintage looking projects, there is no much place for error, because you know, you can actually mix colors, you can get a little bit of muddiness on your paper, and it's quite forgivable. And so here I add blazing black, I think, if I'm not mistaken, from Lindy's. But as you can see, the spray is quite old, and it made these circles, which are absolutely awful. And I was thinking how to spread them all over the page. I could have used the water to just smooth it, or the brush, but I went for the craft knife, and I just kind of smear it all over the place, but not all over the place, because I wanted to actually leave the middle a little bit brighter. And right now when I'm looking at it, I actually see some kind of a scenery with the grass, with some trees very far in the background. And I'm actually a little bit sorry that I didn't leave it the way it is, but that was not the purpose of this video. I really wanted to do a grunge background, so there is something for me to try at some point, and just maybe make some grungy abstract, a little bit abstract looking scenery. So back to the first page. I know it's maybe a little confusing because the pages, those two pages are quite similar, but oh well, they were quite similar. Now they are not gonna be similar anymore. Once again, I'm using my black, and this time I'm using a brush, and as you can see, I stay a little on the edges. I sprayed, or I made a splatter in the middle, and I'm just spraying with water. Water will reactivate all of the sprays because Lindy sprays and oxides or distress stains, they are water reactive. So you need to be open for surprises because there are always surprises, and that's what's actually really cool about that. And as you can see, I'm adding a little bit of really grungy lines with the straw from the spray bottle. And I turn the page a little, or lift the page and move the paint a little, also dab the excess with the tissue paper, and then back to my other page. So this is the page number 3, and let's call it the grayish one because there are some grayish accents. Even though I didn't use gray, I use turquoise. And I decided to give it a little bit of this, how do you call it, rust vibe. So that's why I took a brown brush and I sprinkle it all over the page, but not all over the page. Once again, mostly on the edges. I left the middle kind of empty, once again, to get this effect of a brighter color in the middle. And after applying the brushes, I just left it, I sprayed a little bit with water, but I left the powder on it. So like that, you know, you're gonna get a little bit more of the texture. And so after drying, I let them dry, air dry. You can dry them with the heat gun, but I find they look much better if they are actually air dried. The paper is not warping that much. That's how they look, the 3 pages all dry and ready for some stamping and stenciling and addition of a little bit more of the colors. So as you can see until now, it's very intuitive and it's just, you have to go with the flow, you create your own pages. So right now all I'm gonna do is adding a little bit more of colors here, very slightly adding mustard seed, distress oxide, to just break a little bit of this black on the edges, and then adding some spray with this is spiced marmalade, if I'm not mistaken. And so you can use any mediums or any paints you want. You can use distress oxides, you can use any other inks, and also acrylics or sprays. Once again, not everything will be very well visible, but even though you may think that the like in this case the splatter I'm doing is not that visible, it actually is. And when you look at the page closely, you can see it, and every single small thing adds a little bit more of detail, a little bit more of texture, and it makes the page really different and layered and really, really nice. Like there is, you can see there are things happening on the page. So even if you think that, oh, I add something but it's not visible or is not very visible, at the end, you know, the small details changed so much the whole, you know, the whole page at the end. Right now I'm adding a little bit of orange chalk acrylic with the brayer, and then I'm gonna be doing some stamping. But in case of this paper, in this particular page, I was actually, when I was making it, I was thinking that later I'm gonna cut it into ATC size papers and make ATCs with them. But the problem with this particular page is that the edges are quite black, so if I cut it into ATC paper, ATC size, you know, I'm gonna get very black ATCs. So that's why I wanted to break a little bit this darkness. But before doing that, I actually scanned them, photographed them, and I'm thinking I'm gonna do some collection of the rice papers with the pages I'm making. And so this is not the end. I'm gonna make a little bit more of the pages. I'm gonna try to make for you in the next videos some kind of different pages, maybe a little bit brighter. We'll see. I'm not very good at making bright pages, but why not? I will probably challenge myself a little bit. So for this one, I'm adding now a little bit of stenciling. I actually have to tell you that I use, for these pages, I use all of my stencils and stamps, and I'm very, very happy because I have like 50 stencils. I didn't count the stamps, but there is plenty of them as well. And I am so happy that I'm actually self-sufficient. I have so many different designs, and I can build with them a nice layers. So I know that I'm not using too much of other stamps and stencils, but the whole idea is for me to also show you my products, so you may be interested and you make a purchase, but at the same time, you know, you can replace it. If you cannot buy the stamps or you have already a bunch of stamps at home, you just use yours. And the same goes for stencils. So basically you use what you have at home. I am not telling you that to create pages like that you have to buy things. No, you don't. You can just use what you have at home. And I'm lucky enough that I actually have enough of stamps and stencils, although there is never enough. So I can make my own backgrounds. And as you've seen me, I added a little bit of numbers. Also, when you stamp, good idea is to stamp some things with the first like impression of the stamp, like when you ink it and then you stamp it on the paper, but then restamp again without inking, so you're gonna get the image a little bit brighter, so it looks like it's more in the background. It's not as visible as the first one you made. You can see it here with the number 6 and 5. I actually covered it with my hand, but now you can see 6 and 5. 6 is much brighter, 5 is less brighter, and that already gives a little bit more of the texture. And as you see, at the end I add a little bit of lines with the craft palette. So coming back to my gray page, it's actually gray turquoise now. Really rusty. I really love this effect. So this is also a great idea to mix the paints and powders and all of it, because they will give you something really magical at the end, exceptional, because if you use only one type of paint, you know, it kind of it could get boring. It could get boring a little bit, but if you mix the different mediums and paints and stencils and stamps, it can look really nice, much more interest. So I'm using Mahogany. I think this one is also a chalk acrylic from PaperArtsy. Once again my stencil, and here I'm gonna do a little bit of stamping. I use in general I like to use the stays on archival ink or permanent ink, but you've seen me also doing on the page before stamping a little bit with the I think spice marmalade, but you have to be careful because if the ink is not permanent it will react with water. So if you add later a splatter, for example, or a little bit more of water, that can react and just make maybe not a mess, because if you're doing background which is grungy and distressed, as I mentioned, you can make a mess, but just be careful with that. So here I decided also to change to add a little bit of color to the boards of the paper, because once again I have no idea what I'm gonna do with these backgrounds. If you have any idea, please let me know. I am actually really at a loss right now, because I'm not sure if I cut them into ATC pieces. The ATCs which will fall on the edge of the paper will be a nice ones. I think they may get a little bit too dark, so that's why I really don't know what to do with it. But maybe I will just keep it as a, collection of my backgrounds. And as I mentioned, I will try to make rice papers with them. And so I'm adding a little bit of stamping, and because I made these lines at some point, with the straw from the, I'm not sure if it's called straw, but the thing which comes with the nozzle, which is inside, the one you see right now. I decided to go for more stamps which have lines in them, but I also wanted to add a little bit of turquoise. So those three backgrounds are kind of on the same, they have the same vibe: distress, grunge, and a lot of brown, orange, and turquoise, and a little bit of gray. And here, once again, I didn't like this page actually. After stamping, I was not fan of it, so I decided to add a little bit of turquoise. Once again, this one is Distress Oxide Peacock Feathers, one of my favorite for, this kind of vintage rusty projects. And a little bit more of stamping, and I actually think this stamp saved the paper, the page. And I don't know, I kind of very much like the excess I have here, even though there are some of them are not very well stamped. But once again, that is almost a thing which I'm doing on purpose. Sometimes I do not press enough, because I'm thinking, if it's not very crisp, the image, it looks a little more like in the background. So so that's cool for me. And I'm adding a little bit of drawing or wobbly circles with my stencil. And here you go, guys, all three of the backgrounds. So as always, I'm waiting, no, in this video even more than always, I'm waiting for your comments. I would like to know which one was your favorite, and what do you think I should do with them. Thank you once again for watching, for subscribing, and I'd be very happy if you visit my shop. And as always, I wish you a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day, and I hope to see you soon in my next video. Bye bye.